Welcome back to my cozy corner of the internet. I'm Mayastar, and this is the Mayastar Podcast. I teach energy healing courses online through Mayastar Academy, share spiritual guidance and mystical musings on the Maya Muses blog, and provide healing, ritual and spellcasting services as a star-seeded shaman and professional witch. And today is episode 53 in the Mayastar Unscripted series. We're going to be discussing Melusine, also called Melusine, so I may interchange those names during this episode, covering the sacred bloodlines and mystical inheritance of this famous goddess. At the end of this episode, I'll be drawing from the Lemurian Star Child Oracle for our Starseed Guidance segment, where I'll present some ideas for reflection and meditation, and you can view the card for this episode's oracle reading on the Mayastar Podcast YouTube channel by going to the channel homepage and then to the Community Posts tab. Find out about the different ways you can work with me and discover my energy healing and spiritual development courses by visiting my website at mayastar.net. You can also join the Mayastar mailing list to stay up to date with the latest special offers. As usual, I come armed with notes but without a script, so we'll be meandering around these topics and pursuing the scenic route to enlightenment. If this sounds interesting to you, stick around and while away some time with me as we explore these things together. So sit back, relax your shoulders, take a sip of chamomile tea, exhale deeply, and let's explore. So today I want to talk about Melusine and the sacred bloodlines that she's associated with, the mystical inheritance and the awakening of the divine feminine current. Melusine is one of the deities I worked with early on in my magical work. So I've had an ongoing relationship with her over the years, and it changes and evolves as you move through your life. If you connect with deities in your spiritual practice, you'll find that every time you come back to them, every time you reconnect with them, you're approaching them with a different lens because of the experiences you've had and the way that their stories and myths resonate with you, and you can derive new meaning from them based on your own experiences. It can really develop into a deep relationship with some deities, especially if you're working with multiple deities. You'll find that over the years, with consistent spiritual practice, some of them you will work with much more deeply than others. So, for example, with me, Melusine is one of the deities I work with a great deal, and Hel from the Norse mythology, as well as Odin and Freya. And with each of them, the connection I have evolves over time, and I relate to them in different ways as basically as I age. I mean, when I think back, I was only about 17 when I first was working with Melusine, and now in my 50s, my relationship with her is significantly different, but that's a relationship and a connection that's evolved over time as we move through the different rites of passage in our own lives. We awaken different archetypes within our own psyche, and different aspects of Melusine's story mean different things as you progress. But she's a fascinating character, and whenever I offer the Melusine dance of mystery and magic tantric shamanic ritual as one of the special offers for people who are subscribed to the Mayastar newsletter, I get a lot of questions about her as a character, and questions about how she compares with other deities such as Aradia or Freya, who are also great mother goddess figures that we can connect with. So you might want to see all these different goddesses as being aspects of one divine feminine principle that's expressed throughout all of creation, throughout all of time and space, and that you're just connecting with a particular aspect or facet of it. But you might equally find meaning in considering the mythology and the folklore around these characters to see what really vibes with you. Melusine features a lot in medieval stories, but even in the stories where the implication is that she's part fairy or part mermaid or some kind of spirit but not an actual goddess, or some kind of messenger but again not an actual goddess. These are stories from different times and different interpretations of Melusine, and some of them will be coloured by Christian mythology that moved in. But she's an archetypal being at the very least. Whether you consider deities as having their own independence, their ability to intervene in the world and that kind of thing doesn't really matter when you're connecting with a deity, because even if they are not independently real in the sense that they are actual gods, as archetypal energies, they are extremely powerful and accessible through different stories, different myths, different ideas. And Melusine is very much archetypal of the divine feminine current. She's the classical witch, and as I mentioned, she's often depicted as a mermaid, sometimes as a dragon or a half dragon, sometimes just some sort of other spirit like half fairy or something like that, not a fully human person, but someone who appears to be a normal human person. And the basic gist of her stories is that she marries a mortal man, but she sets one non-negotiable boundary, which is that you can't look at me on Saturdays. Don't look for me. I'm not available. This is my day off. Well, she doesn't exactly say that. She doesn't give him any clue as to what she's doing on a Saturday, but she stipulates that she wants this day for herself. And of course, being a human being, he can't mind his own business and he breaks that promise. He sees her in her true form. He catches her bathing in her serpent form, serpent or mermaid, depending on the myth. And once she realizes she's been betrayed, and that happens in various ways, in various versions of the story, she leaves. She still watches over her children that she's had with him, and she still cares, but there is no way that she can compromise on the betrayal, and so she leaves. So she can be a great goddess to connect with if you have a problem setting boundaries in your own life. And she can also speak to those who feel that they are different to other people. She lives between the worlds. She's part human, but part spiritual or wild creature, elemental. And if you're someone who's sensitive, psychic, neurodivergent like me, empathic or creative, you probably live between worlds in a similar way. And in those cases, Melusine might be a great deity for you to connect with. But it gets more interesting than that, because it's not just the nature of Melusine as depicted in the myths. There are a lot of stories that have been passed down to us about the medieval noble houses, like the Plantagenets in the UK, that actually claim to be descended from Melusine. They literally believed that she was a human or a physical person, not just a spiritual being, and that she had conveyed special gifts through her bloodline, and that these were still present in those born with blue blood. And I really think there's something there. I'm not the only person who thinks this, but some people believe that the Rhesus negative bloodline had something to do with Melusine, or that the myths have grown up about her being a physical being because of this Rhesus negative bloodline. So you've probably heard people talk about it, but there are a lot of things that make the Rhesus negative bloodline quite unusual. And the main reason is that all the other blood groups react very badly with it. It creates sort of like an immune response, and it can make it more difficult and risky for somebody who is Rhesus negative if they're carrying a child that is not Rhesus negative. So part of the reason there's a lot of mystery around this is, why would we have evolved for some people to have this alien blood? And some people do think it's actually alien blood, that the Rhesus negative line comes to us from alien visitors to the planet, or that it's something to do with fairy blood, starseeds, or that it marks people as being witches or shamans, or even that it just marks people as being different, of being outside of the world in some way, perhaps as witches, shamans, people with special spiritual gifts. And while I'm not Rhesus negative myself, my mother is. And I've done a lot of research on the Rhesus negative component because I was born with epilepsy and autism, and these things have traditionally been considered a gift from the gods among witches and shamans. They do certainly play a big part in my own spiritual work, especially my witchcraft and energy healing work. And those sorts of complications, the neurodivergent differences that can arise, may be due to the inflammation, the response to the alien baby, that where the Rhesus negative mother's blood must not mix with that of the non-Rhesus negative baby, because, well, literally one of them would die. It's very risky. But it may just be that on a scientific level, that mismatch can create extra inflammation, some level of immune response, even if it's not at a dangerous level, that can manifest in differences of neurotype and that kind of thing. leading to a lot of mystery around this bloodline, because people with those conditions are going to be more likely to have spiritual gifts as well. So I certainly wouldn't trade anything for my differences. They mean a lot to me, and I consider them sacred and as gifted, and as if they've been passed on, I guess, over generations. So I suppose in some way it gives you a sense of physically inheriting your gifts, not just in a spiritual sense. So if you do feel the call to Melusine, it might be that somewhere in your bloodline, somewhere in your ancestry, you have connection with Rhesus negative blood. About 15% of Europeans are Rhesus negative, and it's really uncommon in other places in the world. And also, people who have Rhesus negative blood are often slightly colder in their body temperature than other people. They do have slight differences in their physicality that may have led people to say that they had dragon blood, that they were in some way cold-blooded, like a snake or a dragon. And perhaps that's how people ended up thinking that this particular bloodline is descended from some sort of dragon beings or the Anunnaki or something like that. But even if you're not from any kind of mystical bloodline or lineage like that, you might still feel the call to Melusine, because her otherness speaks to you. The fact that she's got that alien nature to her resonates with you, and perhaps connecting with her can help you to connect with your own wildness, your own ability to set boundaries, and your own ability to respond to changes and adapt. Present different versions of yourself based on what's needed at the time. That's certainly something that we see in the myths of Melusine. I also wanted to mention the Sumerian god Enki, who's often depicted as a mermaid type being, and that's one of the connections that people have formed with the idea of the Rhesus negative blood coming from aliens. So it's not just Melusine as a deity that is seen as potentially having a link to this dragon blood or mermaid blood or elemental blood, but also beings like Enki. And in that context, the idea is that perhaps these aliens have visited us and they've given us the Rhesus negative bloodline in order to awaken our latent psychic gifts and allowed us to access higher states of consciousness, for example. It's also believed that the Rhesus negative bloodline might descend from Christ, and that this bloodline is the meaning of the Holy Spirit kind of thing. So you've got Mary getting pregnant by some kind of spiritual intervention, not by a human. And then perhaps that Jesus was born with Rhesus negative blood and begins this new bloodline, and that the Holy Grail is in fact the bloodline rather than a physical artifact. So there is a lot of mystery and a lot of mythology that's built up around this bloodline, and Melusine is sometimes associated with it. And certainly for me, that idea resonates with me a lot. And if you want to connect more strongly with the goddess Melusine, I do have a couple of options that might be of interest to you. The Whispers of the Goddess series is that so far there are only 3 courses in this series, and they were channeled last year. But one of them is the Melusine Dragon Power Awakening, which is intended to help you to connect with Melusine, awaken the archetype within yourself, and strengthen your spiritual gifts through that connection. So, reading from the website, in the Whispers of the Goddess Activation series, we delve into the sacred currents of goddess energy to awaken the archetypes of divinity within. The power of these attunements lies in their ability to connect us with the multifaceted energies of the Great Mother Goddess, who embodies the divine feminine in all her forms, across cultures and mythologies. By working with the Whispers of the Goddess activations, we can deepen our relationship with the divine and find ways to express our own divinity in new and soul-nourishing ways. Melusine embodies a myriad of qualities and attributes that speak to her timeless significance as a symbol of feminine power and mystery. She is often associated with the element of water, symbolizing intuition, emotion, and the subconscious mind. As a shapeshifter, Melusine represents adaptability, transformation, and the ability to navigate the depths of the psyche with ease, returning with gifts of insight and understanding. This course can be used to help you connect with the goddess by developing your own rituals and meditations, using the correspondences and guidance in the course manual. As part of your regular spiritual practice, connection with Melusine is indicated to help you with emotional healing, self-acceptance, independence, self-confidence, awakening the gift of intuition, healing after toxic relationships, reclaiming your power, establishing good energetic protection, enhancing creativity, and enhancing your skills in healing, magic, and divination. So you can read about that and purchase the course from the Mayastar website at mayastar.net. There are 3 attunements with that course, and it really strengthens your connection with Melusine. You can see it as awakening that particular archetype within your energy field so that you can resonate more strongly with the stories, the myths, and with Melusine's energy, and bring that into your spiritual practice. And I cover a lot in the course manual so that you can develop your own rituals and routines that will help you to connect with her more deeply. The other option is from the Maya Magical website at mayamagical.net, and that's for the Melusine Dance of Mystery and Magic Tantric Shamanic Ritual. This one's a bit deeper, and this is it's effectively sort of like a spell. It can be tailored as a spell for a specific goal, but it can also be worked to help you strengthen your connection with the goddess as a kind of initiation ritual. If you choose the option with the divinity assumption channeling, which is a part of the ritual that allows me to channel the energy of the goddess, and then usually I will encapsulate that in an energy ball for you to call in at your convenience. And it can be focused on a specific goal, such as awakening your spiritual gifts, helping you to achieve greater autonomy and independence energetically, protecting your energy field, moving on from difficult relationships, manifesting abundance, creating an aura of enchantment to help you in things like job interviews and that kind of thing. And as I say, that option's available from the Maya Magical website, and that's where I'm working a ritual on your behalf. In my capacity as a professional witch, I offer spells and rituals to people. And over the years, there are different options available, and the Melusine dance of mystery and magic, tantric shamanic ritual, is one of them, and one of the most popular as well. So I would say in summary that you don't have to be born into a mystical bloodline to feel the connection and call of the goddess Melusine. And if you do feel that her story resonates strongly with you, it might be a good idea to connect with her and see what comes from that. Allow her to share her wisdom with you through meditation, prayer, contemplation, and learn to connect with her through energy healing practices. I think a good way to understand the importance of the role of these archetypes in your life is only really found if you connect with them regularly throughout your life. If you establish a connection and then come back to it over the years, the relationship grows over time. It's quite hard to explain, but it's not really any different to human relationships. The people that you have friendships with that go over decades are a lot stronger than those that you might have a very intense relationship with, but for a shorter time. It's when you're reconnecting with people, even if you don't see them every day, that your stories become sort of entwined in a way. They become a sort of part of your history, and you become part of their history as well. And it doesn't have to be people that you see all of the time, but people that you check in with every year, every couple of years, or even longer. And those can be the most meaningful relationships that you have in your life. And the same goes for the deities and spiritual beings that you connect with as part of your spiritual practice. And now we come to our starseed guidance segment, where we seek some spiritual inspiration for the week, drawn from the Lemurian Star Child Oracle, which I've been using to connect with my guides for ideas we can reflect on to inspire us on our journey to wholeness. And today's card is titled Well of Dreams, and it shows a sea turtle, which is either out in space or swimming in a dark ocean at night with the stars reflected in the water. There are patterns of light over its shell and body, and it has a very flowing energy. The colours are mostly black, dark blue, little bit of turquoise and pink. It's giving the feeling of the waters of the unconscious mind, perhaps our connection to the collective unconscious or the Akashic records through our own dreams and visions. But let's have a look and see what the guidebook says about it. See if it's got any more inspiration for us. Let's see. Well of Dreams. And the keywords are creation, visions, dissolve the veil, bliss, dreams, messages. Do you remember your Lemurian dreams? Colours, shapes and textures that were birthed as an etheric dream that gradually became more physical. While you were swimming in dream time, your love and enjoyment allowed for more structure to be born. This is how the physical Eden of Lemuria came into being. How do you feel when you wake up in the morning? Do you feel like you've been busy, even if you don't remember much from your dreams? You have drawn this card because you are receiving great healing, guidance and inspiration in dream time, and your Lemurian guides invite you to pay attention to this process. They show you the well of dreams, which is the connection between the physical world and the dream time, and also a portal to etheric Lemuria. The Lemurians show you how you can clear your well of dreams if there are ever any discrepancies. See it before you and allow angels and guides to shower it with light. This purifies the unconscious, mental and emotional energies and helps you to sleep peacefully. It's interesting that this card actually echoes some of the things that we've been talking about today, that connection between the worlds. So yeah, the well of dreams that it refers to is like that unconscious energy, that collective unconscious where all of our experiences and dreams and hopes and wishes and all of the myths and all of the magic of humanity over the centuries and eons has been accumulated, and we can all access it, especially through our visions and our dreams, and establishing a clear connection to that collective can help us to bring through wisdom and get clarity and understand the meaning of these mysteries that are the inheritance of all people, but not everybody appreciates their sacredness or their majesty. These things are absolutely epic, and when you do tap into them, it transforms you. It awakens something within you, what we would call gaining the sight, where you can become aware of that collective and gain that perspective over your own life, how small it is and how big it is at the same time, kind of thing. So I think this would be a great card for you to reflect on, and you can find it on the Mayastar Podcast YouTube channel by going to the channel homepage and then to the community posts tab. And I'll be posting it up there so that it goes live at the same time that this episode is released. I also want to give you the affirmation from the end of the entry in the guidebook. As the light enters my well of dreams, it becomes clearer and clearer. Soon I see the treasure hidden at the bottom, and light is able to reflect back, keeping the well clear forever. And don't forget to only take from this reading what resonates with you and leave the rest behind. And if you feel that it resonates with you, do check out the card on the YouTube channel. And let me know in the comments any impressions that you get from that card. If you can, please give the podcast a like or a 5-star review. Leave a comment and engage with it in any way that you can, so that the algorithm can get some idea of what sort of audience they should be sharing these episodes with. And that brings us to the end of today's unscripted episode. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope you're leaving this episode suffused with good vibes and great ideas. You can hear more from me today by exploring previous unscripted episodes. And remember that these episodes are pre-recorded and inspired by the comprehensive articles on my blog. So, to learn more and read my guidance and top tips, please visit the Maya Muses blog at blog.mayastar.net. I hope to see you back here again soon, and in the meantime, I wish you peace, prosperity, and progress in all you do. With blessings.